Yeah.
Not even going to mention what we were talking about previously because that's I don't need my wife yelling at me. Happy, what are we on? Wednesday? Wednesday, yeah.
Is it
Wednesday's
Wednesday? Oh my God, look at this week going by.
half a day. It'll be noon. It'll be hump day. Well, it is hump day, but at noon we'll be, you know, cruising down the
I don't
hill.
know what I'm going to do. I usually get sushi tonight, but my wife's not here.
Mm.
So I guess I'm going to get sushi by myself tonight. I don't know.
Just you're gonna
No
get
reason to break with tradition.
yeah, get all the sushi you want, the exact kind.
My apartment has blinds now, Brad.
Wow.
It happened in my absence. But yeah, we can block the sun.
I hope they're like an ungodly color, like a 1993 purple.
Dude, we have like it's basically well, two technically, but it's three rooms.
Mm-hmm.
All the wall is just windows, like huge, like floor to ceiling,
Mm-hmm.
And I think the first estimate. This is got to remember it's Mexico. Things are cheaper in Mexico. First estimate we got to do the thing we wanted to do with electronic blinds and blah 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 was like $8,000. We're like, I don't. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So the blinds we have little, pull string things or whatever, but and they have to be segmented because, and this is like another thing, it's crazy, but each of those three rooms has a different kind of breakdown of how things are. Like two of them have sliding doors, but they're in different places, and it was just complicated. But anyway, the point is that happened. So it happened. So that's good. And also the flooring for the balcony started. They put in the frame that goes over the grate we have. It's got like a floating Trex thing.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of welding, apparently. I like to contribute to the noise of Mexico City, so I feel like I've done my part. Hopefully some sparks from the welder hit somebody walking by and, hilarity.
I feel like you should pick up the trumpet. I feel like that would be a Paul Thurrott thing to do.
The Vuvuzela thing or whatever it's called.
Just once you get your balcony out there, just in the evenings, a couple glasses
just go
of
out
wine.
like, naked in the morning and be like, "Good morning, Mexico City."
What are we doing?
There's been a call to end expats coming to Mexico.
Just whatever.
Because of a man from Pennsylvania who just doesn't get it.
We thought he was going to fit in. He had a sombrero.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm here. I'm stuck here with the dog. So.
Also, Google is. I don't know how this works. Mm-hmm. So they're violating their ban because they went head to head with Sonos. Sonos, the underdog in this scenario, won. Google, the juggernaut, lost.
That's super obvious what happened there. It is so clear cut, right? I know there are people there's some people that just kind of knee jerk can't stand to see anything like this happen. I think they're against intellectual property or whatever. But you and I think as kind of content creators who have both been ripped off.
Yep.
Had things stolen from us and then republished elsewhere or whatever with no attribution whatsoever. Understand what that feels like, but also just from a legal sense, like, you want to get paid for the work that you did. And Sonos did create some innovative technology that, well, just to make it simple, allows for multi-room audio.
Yep.
And Google stole it. Plain and simple, stole it. And I haven't gotten to look at the comments from the latest article I wrote about this, but as usual, there will be people who, Sonos is terrible. They're making, Google stuff worse for us. And it's like, no, Google could pay for this, guys.
Yes.
That's one of the outcomes. They could just license it. God, they could buy Sonos.
Mm-hmm. They really could.
Easily.
Anyway. I really hope that would be the worst outcome, at least for me.
Well, you know what, though? Because this is the way my brain works. I was walking around thinking about this yesterday. Mm-hmm. And because one of the classic kind of arguments people make in this area is Apple should buy Sonos, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, and then it's like, well, if Apple bought Sonos, does that mean they would get rid of their HomePods and blah? You kind of go down this kind of mental journey, what would that look like? Actually, if Apple bought Sonos, they could handle like the way they handle Beats. They have their own in-house brand for things that are Apple only. And then they have Beats, which are Apple and Android. They work or anywhere, right? They work anywhere. And Sonos could work that way. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really think too far about the Google end of it, but the Google thing could work the same way. I mean, one of the things, this because you use an iPhone, but you may not appreciate it because it doesn't work on Android, is like Sonos equipment just works with AirPlay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, using like this is a weird thing to say, but YouTube Music, which is the thing I use, is actually better on the iPhone if you use Sonos, which I do because I can use the YouTube Music app, which I prefer to control the Sonos speakers using AirPlay. On Android, you cannot. You have to use the Sonos app because of their little fight. There's no integrated control for Sonos equipment inside of that app. It just doesn't work. Google has a thing like AirPlay, we'll call Google Cast, I guess, and Sonos does not support it. So this can be resolved. You know, there's no reason this stuff couldn't work everywhere. There's no reason Google couldn't just be like, yeah, we're just going to license your technology. Of course, Apple and Amazon, possibly other companies, do not want to see that happen because they're next. Right. Anyway, sorry. This is all background, but there's a story, as you said. I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent, as I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
I tend to roll with it. Yeah, so what happened was Google just kept violating these patents. Now, they did make changes, by the way, right? They made many changes to their affected products, which are many, right? It's not just their smart speakers. It's their Google Home app and service and all the things that they do for multi-room everything. It's their Pixel phones and their hardware, like the Pixel laptops and the tablets and whatever. So they actually spent months working on this, but Sonos kept coming back and saying, yeah, okay, no, you worked around that. That's neat, but you're still doing this here and blah, 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 whatever. And so they went to the U.S. Customs Service and said, hey, they're still violating our patents, and here are all the examples of where it's happening. And they were like, yeah, they are. So technically, legally, they can be banned from importing any of those products into the United States. And all of them are made outside of the United States. At least it's not obvious what that means. And we'll see. I don't actually, this ruling is extremely long and is very complicated, and it goes into really deep detail on each of the infringements by patent number. I don't know if you tried to read it, but it's I really wanted to see a conclusion or summary of some kind, like this is what they did and this is what we're going to do about it. And maybe it's there and I missed it, but I read that thing top to bottom and I was like, man, it's kind of complicated. But the summary is Sonos good, Google bad. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Sonos is it's small, right, in quotations, because compared to Google, they're a rounding error at this point.
Yeah.
But it's good to see like the little guy like have a chance, because we all know what it's like when you see a Sonos out there, like, oh, that's a great brand, a great product. Try to go up against Google, Apple, and all these guys, and it's an uphill battle. By the way,
yes, and Google. The thing that makes this so terrible is Google went to Sonos and said, we want to work with you. We'll license what you're doing. Show us how you do it, and we'll get it in our products. And they did everything except pay for it.
Right.
Sonos opened the kimono, so to speak, and Google stole it all, and then refused to pay. And that you hate to see on any level. But I also just think from a big tech perspective, when you think of like the big guys, the little guys, big tech, big guy, people, little guys, us, you and me, and everyone else. I mean, all of these companies, Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook, Meta, whatever it's called, Microsoft, whatever, are all abusing us in various ways, privacy-related, personal information, et cetera, et cetera. So they're overcharging of fees in app stores. There's all kinds of stuff. And this is one little divot in the field of legal action that's occurring right now. But this is what this outcome should always look like.
Mm-hmm. So. And the other sort of side, not even side of the spectrum, it's just a different product. Sony announced a bunch of PC gaming products, which on one hand is like, wow, why weren't they doing this anyways? They already know that the margins on the PC gaming side are huge. Like that's a lucrative place. But either way, they're not exactly maybe in love with the brand name, but it's the Sony.
I think it might be because Sony's gaming play was always PlayStation, which always meant proprietary hardware, which always meant exclusives, and you stay in that thing. Now they could have released PlayStation displays, I guess, but I think these displays have a broader appeal. And by the way, Sony is in the midst of a rethinking of that, and they're pushing a lot of this stuff to PCs now. So
yeah, I mean,
that might have something to do
one
with
of them speaks to me, Paul Thurrott. I don't know if I'm going to buy it, but they're,
I didn't look too deeply at this. So what do they have?
So they're called InZone. That is the brand.
Okay, that's
because you're in the zone.
In the zone,
I'm guessing.
Sure.
So they're using, for the monitors, it looks like they're using this M branding. So the M3, not a BMW M3, and an M9. The M9 to me is the one that I would be vaguely interested in. We'll ever see if I buy something, but it's a 27-inch 4K 144 hertz IPS monitor, HDR, VRR, HDMI 2.1, G-Sync, all that stuff for about $900. Now that is expensive for a monitor, but it's not as expensive as they used to be. 4K 144 hertz monitors used to be like $1,500 to $2,000. So once it gets closer to like that $600 price point, because the problem is I need two of them.
Right, that's exactly right. I wonder, Sony used to have such a great brand in TVs, and is it Bravia? Or
Bravia is there.
Kind of high-end line. They've been kind of squeezed out by the Vizios and whatevers of the world, these cheap Chinese brands that can come in and offer the same capabilities at Costco for $200 or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like there's some expertise there. I agree. 900 is too much, but that gets interesting.
It's a lot especially because most people are probably in a dual monitor setup, especially if you're into gaming. Actually, that's a bold assumption, but either way, there's also a 1080p one, but that one's $529. It's a lot, but they're I don't know. Like you got to think of Sony's going in.
Is it high refresh rate or
just, 240 hertz? On that one.
All right.
So either way, it's just interesting because, to your point, it's usually like a PlayStation-only company, and now, obviously, they're selling a lot of games on Steam, and might as well.
When I think it was the Xbox Series X came out, I'm going to look this up now just to see what I spent on it. But I did that thing where, I wanted to get a 4K gaming class display. I did not get it's got HDR, FreeSync, which doesn't matter really. 28-inch. I don't know if I can see how much. Does it have
2.1? The key, if anybody's listening to this, buying new TV or monitor, make sure it has HDMI 2.1.
Yeah, so this was so this is almost 2 years ago. So HDMI 2.1 was not a thing. So
Well,
okay. All right. Well, I'll look. I don't know. So I don't know what it has. I'm just looking at the page. It's HDMI 2 is what it is.
Yeah, which there's that one.
One probably
makes a difference.
So anyway, the point is, I don't know what this cost when I bought it for some reason. There must be a way to find out. But right now, this thing is $250. It's only 60 hertz, so that's one thing. And I just at that time it would have been 120 was the best you could do, and I think 120 might be the best the Xbox Series X can do. I can't remember, but it was just prohibitively expensive. It was probably like double the price. So that was the one compromise I made. But I wanted HDR 4K, something that would show off the capabilities, right, of this thing. And that's what Sony, BenQ, that must be some Chinese brand. I don't know what they are, but that's what Sony is up against, is those companies. That's like less than half the price. I know it's not the same thing. It's not exactly the same. It doesn't have high refresh rate, blah, 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 whatever. But I bet you could get one 300, 350.
I bet you could.
1080p, that is.
1080p for sure. Monoprice actually has some
4K,
great
5, 6, somewhere in there.
Monoprice, if anybody's listening to this and is seriously looking at monitors, go look at Monoprice monitors.
Monoprice. Jeez, I wonder what those things really are.
They're pretty good, is what they are.
Yeah, so interesting. Monoprice, because Monoprice isn't that like a retailer?
Yeah. They used to be known for their cables, where you could buy HDMI cables for a fraction of what Best Buy was selling. This was many years ago, and TV mounts and all that stuff, and they've keep growing up.
That always reminds me of Monoprix with an X on the end, which is like a grocery department store in France. So it's not the same thing.
Not related, I don't think.
Although they should be. That'd be fun. I'd like some lettuce and a monitor.